Michigan Mobility 2045 establishes the vision, goals, and strategies for the future of transportation in Michigan. It also sets the priorities for transportation between now and 2045. MM 2045 incorporates all of these plans, including a new statewide transit strategy. First, we must have an understanding of current conditions. This video focuses on existing conditions and an inventory of the state's transportation system as of 2018. This includes pavement and bridge condition on both trunk-lined and locally owned routes, highway congestion and travel time reliability, all aspects of the freight network, including highway, rail, ports and waterways, and air cargo, both commercial and general aviation, passenger rail, public transit, active transportation. MM 2045 demonstrates how meeting Michigan's mobility and access needs is a partnership between all levels of government and even some private entities. For this partnership to work, there needs to be more data sharing between agencies and consistency in data collection. Let's look at the existing conditions assessment for active transportation as an example. This illustrates one of the key challenges we face in planning for bicycle and pedestrian needs. That challenge? The lack of a comprehensive database of existing sidewalks, bike lanes, trails, and other facilities. On the other hand, pavement condition data is available for both MDOT and non-MDOT roadways, but there are multiple methods being used to rate different pavement conditions. This results in inconsistent data for some routes, potentially confusing decision makers who address pavement needs. Key findings of the existing conditions and inventory can be found at michiganmobility.org. Over the past several years, the condition of state and locally operated highways and bridges has declined. And unless Michigan is able to increase its level of spending on transportation infrastructure, it will continue to decline. Almost half of locally owned roads and nearly a quarter of major connecting routes have poor pavement conditions. The number of bridges in poor condition is also trending upward. More than 70% of MDOT-owned bridges are in fair or poor condition. This presents a different set of concerns since a bridge must be closed to traffic once it reaches a certain level of deterioration. In fact, MDOT has closed some bridges in recent years and may be forced to consider additional closures. MDOT has been investing substantially in intelligent transportation systems, or ITS for short. The number of cameras, radar detectors, and other equipment has grown as MDOT has expanded its program. ITS are used for freeway management, roadway weather management, and incident response. These operational investments are a cost-effective way to manage roadway capacity and improve traveler safety. But this equipment must be replaced on a regular basis, and an adequate number of staff is required to monitor and act on the ITS information. With funding already insufficient for maintaining traditional infrastructure, investing more in Transportation Systems Management and Operations, or TSMO for short, may require other spending trade-offs. Seeking financial partnerships may be critical if Michigan is to remain a leader in implementing transportation technology. Travel times are generally reliable across much of the state's highway system. Most of our delays occur on roads in the Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, and Lansing areas. However, travelers on the state's passenger rail system experience less reliable travel times due to interference caused by freight trains sharing the same track as passenger trains. The Wolverine route, for example, is on time less than 50% of the time. Safety is a major focus for all modes of transportation as MDOT and its partners pursue Vision Zero. Efforts have resulted in an overall decline in both fatal and injury crashes in recent years. In fact, rail crossing crashes have declined by 70% over the past 2 decades. 2 of the top fatality-related highway safety issues were tied to driver behavior. Statewide, roughly 1 in every 5 jobs is dependent on the movement of freight, with nearly $800 billion in goods traveling on Michigan's transportation system in 2018. The dominant categories reflect the state's largest companies: automotive, metals and machinery, food and agricultural products, as well as chemicals and plastics. Trucks move more than 70% of the freight transported on Michigan roadways, which is vital when choosing investments in highway improvements. However, rail is also critical to the state's economy. In fact, rail serves a much more important role in Michigan than it does in some other states. Rail in Michigan is also unusual. In other states, it is typically used to move more heavy, lower value goods, but in Michigan, the value per ton of goods moved by rail is actually higher than the value per ton moved by trucks. E-commerce is driving growth at some of Michigan's smaller airports. As more people do their shopping online and are promised fast delivery, packages are shipped from their national hubs to Michigan airports such as Grand Rapids and Lansing, then distributed throughout the state. Other time-sensitive cargo traveling by air includes parts and supplies needed by the automotive industry, much of it passing through airports in Metro Detroit. Maintenance needs and aging infrastructure are the primary challenges facing marine transportation, which carries about $4.1 billion in freight annually. The Poe Lock in Sault Ste. Marie is nearly 50 years old, with no current alternative for vessels passing through the St. Mary's Falls Canal. Congress has authorized construction of a new lock, which will replace 2 World War I-era locks that are now closed. Public transportation, while not directly under MDOT's jurisdiction, receives critical annual funding support from the state. State funding has grown by 17% over the past 5 years, which has helped somewhat to offset a rising cost in operating expenses. Ridership has declined over the same period, which is typical of periods when economic conditions are generally improving. There is still a significant population of riders, especially in rural areas, for whom public transit is a lifeline to access medical care and other essential services. Reporting on the existing conditions for active transportation in Michigan is challenging. There are more than 600 road agencies and thousands of townships and parks departments involved in developing and maintaining sidewalks, trails, and cycling facilities. This makes it challenging to create a comprehensive network map. What is known is that active transportation users are the state's most vulnerable users of the transportation system. In fact, while they are involved in less than 1.5% of Michigan crashes, they represent nearly 20% of fatalities. Only about a quarter of pedestrians and cyclists are out for exercise and recreation. The remaining 75% are making essential trips on bike or foot. This is why the Michigan Department of Transportation develops its long-range plans and strategies so we continue to lead the nation into the next generation of transportation innovation. For more information on Michigan Mobility 2045, please visit our website at michiganmobility.org.